What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Goblin's Den. Got a package today, small package, on this extremely rainy day. But also I want to talk about a few things. But let me show you what I got, and then we'll go from there. Might be a lot of rambling. Like I said in a previous video, I'm on like a g.i.joe kick for some reason. I don't know. I'm just going crazy with them. Can't tell you. Probably because I used to love them as a kid, and I don't know. Maybe I'm getting back into them. I don't know. I'm trying new things. Who knows? I had mentioned for Mother's Day, like in honor of my mom, I was going to buy I bought these O-rings so you can fix the old G.I. Joes, because I have bags and bags of the broken ones, which I'm probably going to do a video, like I said. But they didn't come in yet. They were supposed to come in today. They didn't show. So hopefully tomorrow they're going to come in. We'll see. But I did, like I said, I'm on a G.I. Joe kick, but I did buy a figure. This is Blowtorch. Came with his mask, his helmet, his backpack, and his little flamethrower that attaches to the back somewhere over here. I don't know if it attaches to the backpack from the back or from the front, but you can kind of see it. You know, I didn't want to really mess with him too much. This character is one of the characters that I wanted when I was a kid, but for some reason was never able to get. You could take his mask off and stuff like that. If I can get it off. I just put it on too, and I'm like, oh yeah. It's not easy to get on. It's not easy to get off either. Well, it is, but it isn't. You can take his mask off, and it detaches. Oop. All that stuff. I just kind of like the mask on. Just think he looks cooler. But anyway, this is a character that I never got when I was a kid. For some reason, they were always sold out of him. He was one of the characters I was always looking for because I just thought he was cool because of his colors, and just thought he was an interesting character. And my mother was never able to find him. You know, every time I went to a toy store, Toys R Us, Child World, KB, nobody ever had them. For some reason, he was just hard to get. I don't know why. In my area, he was hard to get. A lot of people was like, oh, he's the easiest one. You know, I had him right away. Not me. This actual figure is in perfect shape. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. No dings, no scratches. All the joints are solid. You can see, like, he's not, you know, wobbly at all. If I shake him, everything is perfect. All the joints work. His hands move. Nothing's broken. I was amazed because a friend of mine is a huge G.I. Joe collector. It's all he collects is G.I. Joe. He loves it. And it was funny because I'll tell you a story about that in a moment. But my friend, I asked him, I was like, you know, how much does this guy usually go for? Because I got it on eBay, and the price that they were asking was really cheap. And my friend was saying, he's like, wow, he's like, yeah, he's in perfect shape, you know, out of the box. He's probably around maybe $15. He's like, with all the parts. Oh, and it also came with the file card. So that's cool. And the guy that was selling this was selling it for $2 and free shipping. So I was sitting there, I'm like, well, that's pretty damn low. And my friend's like, oh, you know, if you can get it for $2, get it for $2. So I was like, all right. So I put the bid in for the $2. And like an hour later, the bid went up to $3. I'm like, oh, crap. I was like, here we go. And I told my friend, he's like, hey, he goes, there it goes. He's like, you're not going to get him cheap at all, especially if he's in great condition. Waited the last possible second, did a snipe. I put in, I think I put in like $7.50 or something like that, just for the hell of it, and it went up to $5, and that was it. So I actually won it for $5, so I was impressed. My friend was like, you got a good deal, $5. He looks like he was never touched. He looks like he was just came out of the box, and that was it. So this thing's in perfect shape. I'm happy. I'm going to display him eventually. Finally got him. 30 years. Finally got him. Something like that. But what I wanted to talk about besides that, it kind of rolls into the whole thing, is a couple of my friends and actually a family member they're I guess just starting getting into comics and getting into toys and stuff like that. And they've been asking me questions. I figured, what the hell, might as well make a video of it. One thing also before I get into that whole thing there, a friend of mine when I was a kid, I only hung out with him like maybe knew him for a year, and I think then he moved. he was a huge G.I. Joe kid. He was basically the G.I. Joe kid on the block. On my block, when I was living in Hicksville when I was a kid, when I was, 8 years old or 7 or 8 years old, everyone had their things. Like, my one friend had a pool and a nice, awesome house, so everybody would go there in the summer and hang out with him all the time. He was my best friend. Still is in a way. Then down the block, my other friend was basically huge on music and certain movies and toys, so you kind of went over there, for certain things, and they had great food all the time. And then another one of my friend, her mom and dad were just awesome chefs. They knew how to make a lot of awesome things, so you always went over there. They always had parties, so that was that. And then my friend around the block was big into Nintendo stuff, so he always had a lot of awesome Nintendo games, which was cool. And he was big into BMX and skateboarding, so that was kind of a thing. And like I said, the one friend that I knew for a year, he was a G.I. Joe kid. He had everything G.I. Joe. I remember going into his room one time that was about the size, maybe even smaller than the cave upstairs, and it was wall to wall G.I. Joe. And he didn't have like one or two of certain things. He had dozens. He had that flagship that's worth a fortune. He had that thing like right in the middle of the room, all set up. He had like I forget what kind of the plane it was. G.I. Joe plane was on there. He had like 6 or 7 of those different Skyhawks. He had like, I think like 8 of those, what the hell are they? The G.I. Joe little like dune buggy looking things. He had like 12 Hiss tanks. He had everything. Even the figures, especially like Cobra. Like G.I. Joe, he had maybe 1 or 2 of the same figure. But Cobra, he had like, 50 of the same Vipers. He had 10 of the Techno Vipers. He had, all these things. And, it was just amazing. It was just amazing. He had like helicopters hanging. It was nuts. But anyway, I'm going to ramble. But let me get on to the other point of this thing. Friends and family, like I said, my one cousin was asking, her boyfriend is getting into toys and comics and want to know what he should be looking for. And I'm saying this to everybody out there, just like I said to them, and like I said in my friend's last question, go for stuff that interests you. That's it. That is it. That's all that really needs to be known about collecting, well, besides getting screwed over or something like that. But just go for stuff that interests you. Go for, like, if you see a book that you like, if you like Batman, go for Batman stuff. Sometimes it's a good idea to stick with one thing, but it's not, uncommon to branch out and other things. Look at me, I'm going all over the place again, which is, sometimes it'll drive you nuts. But, and my cousin's boyfriend apparently bought an old Spider-Man toy from the 90s, the one from Toy Biz, the regular suit, with the black web or something like that on the card, if you want to call it, in the box, whatever you want to call it, and he paid $10 for it. So now his problem was he really liked the toy. He liked hanging it up on the wall, but now he wants to take it out of the box and he wants to set it up somewhere and do something with it. And he's kind of at ends with it. What do I do? Do I open it? Do I keep it in the thing? And I told her to tell him the same thing I'm telling everybody else. It's your collection. Do what you want. If you think you're going to make money and you want to sell that down the line, then yeah, it's probably not a good idea to open it. But if you're buying it because you want to enjoy it and you want it for you, do what you want. If you want to open it, open it. Open the thing and set it up however you want. But remember, one very important thing is once you open it, it can't go back in the box. Me, personally, like something like this, my 25th anniversary Storm Shadow, there are dozens of times I've looked at this thing and I'm like, oh, I want to take it out of the box, I want to set it up, I want to, make it look really cool and all that stuff. But for my purposes, I kept them in the packaging because I like to put them on the wall. Because a lot of the loose figures, the way I'm setting things up, I'm putting the loose figures on the shelves and I'm keeping these on the wall, in back of the loose figures. It just makes more sense that way. Am I going to sell this down the line? I don't know. I really just got it. I really just got it for me because I like the character. I like the G.I. Joe stuff. The 25th anniversary figures are awesome looking. It's like the old ones, but with more articulation and more weaponry and stuff like that. So that's me. Like, I have a lot of figures that I have in boxes that I've never opened. And one of the big problems I have now is that when I moved, when I'm opening these boxes to take a look at them, a lot of them are all bent now, so a lot of them aren't even mint on card anymore. So my dilemma is like, do I open it and set it up, put it somewhere, or, same thing. But again, it all comes down to your personal preference. You do what you want to do. If you don't want to sell it, then, you know, do what you want with it. Me, like I said, I'm hanging them up. That's the way I like it for now. A lot of times back in the day, when I actually had money, I would always buy two of things. Like one I would keep in the box just in case, another one I would open loose and set it up. But that got very pricey very quickly. For instance, with me, like the Ninja Turtle line back in the 2000s, when they had the cartoon out, I bought all the turtles. I took them out of their box. I set them all up, and I loved it. And I still have them set up. You've seen them in the cave. I didn't buy them to resell them. I just bought them because I wanted to have them all set up and looking cool and stuff like that. Because a lot of times you can do things better. Like, you know, if you got this guy in the box, you know, that's it. He'll stand there like this, but, you know, he wouldn't have any of these things on, and, you know, you couldn't set up the flamethrower a certain way, and, you know, if you're really creative, make it look like it's shooting out flames, you know, whatever. So there's benefits, you know. Keep it in the box, out of the box. Another thing is comics. Like I said, this is another thing. I've said this dozens of times. Comics really, right now, are worth what you're willing to pay for them. You know, I could turn around, this for instance, I could turn around and say, hey, I got Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, Number 1. I want $45 million for this. And if someone's stupid enough to say, hey, I'll give you $45 million for that because it's number 1, then that's your own fault. Hey, if anybody wants to buy that for $45 million, let me know. But anyway, this thing, cover price, you know, it's $6. I know my friend had gotten this. He's like, oh my god, it was $6. The cover sucks. I didn't like the art, but the stories were good. I'm the same way. It was $6, which was rough, but it's a damn thick book. So I'm kind of like, alright, you know, it's not that bad. Same thing with, like, variants. Like I said, like, my cousin and my friends, that they were talking about variants. You know, what variant should we buy, or which one's going to be worth money? You never know. You never know. I always tell everybody, don't buy stuff to try to make money off of it, because you never know what's going to be worth money in the future. You never know what's going to be worth money now. You're better off buying something to enjoy it for yourself, and down the line, if it's worth money, more power to you. You lucked out. But never go crazy. Like, Amazing Spider-Man number 1, I got the regular cover because I wanted to read it, and I bought a variant because the variant, I just thought the cover was amazing. So my variant should be coming sometime down the line. So that's me with variants. Like, I'm trying, when I was a kid when they came out, I was nuts. I would buy every variant. You know, they had my money, but back then they were cheaper. You know, it wasn't like you were spending, you know, $9, $10, $20-something on a variant. It was the same price as the regular book, just a different cover. And that was another thing that was interesting, because my cousin's boyfriend apparently went out and got, I don't know if it was this one or if it was or DC, some Batman or something. I don't know what it was. But apparently he bought like 10 different variant covers on top of the regular cover, because he thought variants were not only different covers, but different books. And they're not. They're the same damn book inside, it's just a different cover. You're paying for the cover. That's what it is. But like I said, with this one, Amazing Spider-Man 1, I got the regular to read it, and the variant one I'm keeping sealed and putting it away, because I thought the cover was amazing. Maybe I'll put it on my wall, who knows. See how it goes. So, another interesting fact is, on Free Comic Book Day, apparently, this book is a hard one to have gotten. Rocket Raccoon, as well as the Power Rangers, was another one that was sought after. Now, the problem, well, not the problem, well, it is a problem, but something I found interesting is I went on eBay to take a look at these, because people sell them on eBay. I can see if you get them, you read them, you don't like them, you sell them on eBay, okay, cool, you know. But think of it this way, this is how greed comes into play here. These were free. You didn't pay for these. You walked in a comic book store, you saw it, you know, I like that one, it's free. Free Comic Book Day. So if you put this on eBay and sold it for $1, you're still making money, because you got it for free, so you made a profit. This on eBay I saw for $50. $50. Rocket Raccoon I saw for $30 to $50. Jesus. People really are insane. And that's when it comes into play when I said that comic books are really what you're willing to pay for them. If you want to pay $50 for that Power Ranger comic or that Rocket Raccoon because you didn't get a chance to go to Free Comic Book Day, that's on you. Like I said, if you're comfortable paying $50 for that, hey, That's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like, for instance, this thing, like I mentioned before, Wonder Man. Miraculously, I got it for $2 at the comic book store. This was going for $5 online. It always helps too to look around. You never know what you're going to find where or whatever. Like, I told my cousin tell her boyfriend, told my friend this too. Look around before you buy on eBay. If there's shops in your area, check them out. See what they're going for if they have the book at all, and if they do, see what they're pricing it at. Or check eBay first, see what they're pricing it at. Average it, and then go to the bookstore and see if they have it for cheaper. Because sometimes, not always, but sometimes, if you go to a comic book store and you tell the comic book guy, say, hey, you know what, this you're selling for $5, I found on eBay for $2, here's the proof, here's a photo of it, would you sell it to me for $2? Sometimes they will. I wouldn't count on it, but you never know. It doesn't hurt to ask, I guess. Excuse me. And a lot of times, like I said, you luck out. Like this, what's pissing me off is this was $4. It's a regular size comic. It's not like it was the $6 one. I paid $4 for this, and then shipping. Whereas I can get an old Amazing Spider-Man. Like I said, I looked out on this one anyway. For less than a new book, or even example. Here's another old Amazing Spider-Man, not even that old, 2009, $3. I paid less for this than I did for a brand new Spider-Man. I don't get it. They're just, it's crazy. Like I said, a friend of mine was saying, what should I look for? What should I, go after? And all these things. Did you get this book? Did you get that book? And I'm like, nah, I didn't get half these books. What? Well, why didn't you get them? They're too expensive, and they're coming out too quickly. It's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, you want the books to come out quickly because you don't want to wait to read the next issue. But if they're going to do that, they should lower the price. I mean, it used to be $2, and then it went up to, jumped to $4. It was $2.99. Now it's $3.99. It's nuts. Marvel, at least DC, is kind of consistent with it. It's like $2.99 for this set of books and $3.99 for that set of books, but mostly $2.99. Marvel, it's $2.99, $3.99, $4.99, $5.99, $2.99, $3.99. It just keeps going like this. Oh, it's Amazing Spider-Man. It's a movie. $3.99, $5.99, $6.99. Yeah, all right. It's getting too much, and that's why, like I mentioned before, I'm not even really buying new issues. I'm trying to stick with Amazing Spider-Man, but even that price tag is going, for new issues is just going up, and it's just a little ridiculous. And it's not going to stop. I mean, that's how it is. It's just the way the business works now. Everything, comic books are hugely popular, let's raise the prices, and the only way it would stop is if people stop buying them. And then they'll get the message of like, hey, you know what? No one's buying our new issues for $4. Let's go back to $2.99, or let's go back to $2. But that will never happen because everyone's going to always buy new issues. And that's, like I said, if everyone, not only on YouTube, but every comic book collector stopped buying new issues for a month, maybe 2 months, you'll see these things drop. They would just, because then everyone would be like, wait a minute, they're not selling. But that won't happen. So Marvel and DC, they know they got you. They know they can, spike their prices however they want. And you're going to buy it, especially when they release a #1 every friggin' 2 weeks, which is nuts. But that's just my thing. But again, like I said, it's all personal preference. It all comes down to what you want to do, what you're willing to pay. Was I willing to pay that money for that Spider-Man? Yeah. I was like, I'll read it. I'm interested. See how it goes. Because my friend Richie was saying, I want to get certain comics, but I don't know what to look for. I don't want to go and get a back issue and not know if I'm going to like it. And that's kind of the hit or miss thing I told him. I was like, you don't know what the issue is going to be like, especially a back issue, unless somebody's already read it and says, hey, it was good. Or, you get it. If you don't like it, worst thing you could do is, you could trade it, you could sell it. There's always that option. You can go up to your friend and say, hey, you know what? I got this Batman I don't like. Do you want it? Or you can give it away as a gift, to a comic book person. Here you go, a contest, whatever it is. But that's what it is. Like back issues, like if you don't know about the book, it's hit or miss. Like it sucks because a lot of times you got to go by the cover, but you got to be very careful with that because I've seen ones where covers are amazing and the inside sucks. The story was crappy and it was just boring. I've seen ones where the cover was hideous, crappy cover, and it was actually a good storyline. So again, it's all hit or miss. But I've been saying, stick with what you like. If you don't know anything, you don't know what to look for, just find something that interests you and then stick with that. Then, if you branch out, you branch out. You're like, if you start with Batman and say, hey, I like this artist, I like this writer, stick with that. Stick with that artist, stick with that writer wherever they go. If you want to stick with Batman, if they jump ship and go to Superman, and you still like that, artist and writer, and you're like, hey, you know what, now they're on Superman, let me give Superman a try. Chances are you're going to like it because it's the same people you enjoyed. Or, like I mentioned too a while ago, get a mix of stuff. See what you like. You're never going to know until you try it out. Get a Batman book, get a Superman book, get an Aquaman, get a Spider-Man, get a Wolverine, and be like, hey, this wasn't bad, and see what happens. Especially if you can get them cheap. Especially like a back issues. Any of the back issues you can get cheap. If you go to like a dollar bin or something like that, grab a few and be like, hey, you know what, this was cool. And then that's how it usually starts. Like that was me with New Warriors. I grabbed like a New Warriors. I'm like, I like this book. All right, let me go find the rest of them. But yeah, it's what it's all about. It's all about your own personal preference of what you want to do, how you want to make your collection, and remember, it's your collection. Do what you want with it. Look at Cougar Comics. Almost said Cosmo Comics. Cosmo. He buys the CGCs or the PGXs. I think it's just CGCs. I probably might have got that wrong. Maybe he buys. I don't remember. I know CGCs definitely, but I don't remember if Cougar, if you buy PGX or not. But he buys them, the CGCs. Let's just say that, and takes them out of the slab and has it. A lot of people are like, "Oh my God, you're out of your mind. You're crazy." I don't think that he's crazy. I don't see a problem with it. I see that his collection. That's what he wants to do, and people cringe. I cringed a few times. I'm like, oh my God, you're taking it out of the case. But he's got a good point. When you buy a comic on eBay, especially, someone could say, hey, this is near mint. It's never been touched. And you get it home, and it's got fingerprints all over it. It's got a small rip. You don't know. At least with the CGC, you know what you're getting. It's flat out on the thing. This is an 8.5. This is a 9.0. This is a 1.8. This is what's wrong with the book. This is what's in the book. That's a good way to go, especially if you can get them cheap. I've seen ones that CGC books were cheaper than the non-CGC books. I saw one, let's just use this as an example. I saw a CGC Spider-Man one time. The CGC book was $10 and about, let's say $10 shipping, so $20 for a CGC book, where the non-CGC book was like about $30. It's all about shopping around too. But again, I'm rambling, but in closing with all this, it's your collection. Do what you want with it. Whatever you feel comfortable with paying for certain something. Like I was more than comfortable to pay for the price of this because I've never had him. He's really cool. I love the colors. And he's in perfect shape. He looks, like I said, he just came out of the box. No loose, broken things. Came with everything other than the box itself, which I didn't care. It's all about what you want to do. What I say too is sometimes think about what you want to do with your collection and go from there. Like, I want to have a toy collection, but I don't give a rat's ass if they're in the box or not because I want to set them up and make them look cool. Like I saw somebody, Marvel Universe figures, the guy literally had an entire room where it was amazing. Like one section was like set up as a danger room, like he painted things on the wall and made girders and all these things, and the X-Men were fighting a Sentinel. It was nuts. Then like next to it was like a Savage Land jungle kind of thing with like these bamboo stalks coming up, and there was like dinosaurs, and there was Wolverine running through it. It was crazy. And then there was like another part to that, which was supposed to be, I guess, a New York scene. He made like a brick wall looking thing. He had Spider-Man sticking to the wall. Venom was coming down the wall. He had the Fantastic Four, next to it, like the thing was breaking a street lamp. It was impressive. And if that's what you want to do, then hey, that's cool. I mean, like I said, that was just amazing how he had that whole thing set up. But again, it's all about what you want to do. I've rambled enough. Hopefully it helped. Probably didn't. Just wanted to ramble and show off my new blowtorch figure. But like I said, I will be making the video when I get them in. The O-rings are basically, I don't want to kind of pull him apart. Yeah, he's really in there. Yeah, he's not. Wow, that's... Alright, you can't see it on this guy. But an O-ring is basically inside here. It's a giant rubber band. That's all it really is. And you kind of just pull the legs through. And I'll show you how to do it in the video if anybody really wants to know. It's not hard, but it's you gotta have a lot of patience. Yeah, when they come in, I'll make the video, show you how it's done, and I'll put my stuff together and I'll show you what they look like after they're fixed. Before and after kind of thing. But anyway, thank you all for watching and listening to me ramble. Like I said, hopefully this helped. Who knows? See how it goes. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. You know how the drill by now. Leave comments if certain things you want to see. That's always helpful. And it's not size your cave that matters. It's what you have in it. And long live your collection, however it is you choose to make it. Later.